Hi, algebra students. Welcome to section 1-2, order of operations. Probably you've done this 182 times, but let's make it 183. So first of all, order of operations usually asks you to evaluate. Evaluate means it wants you to find an answer. You've got an actual number. Usually these are expressions. So we're going to evaluate expressions, the ones that we wrote in section 1-1. Often you may need to use substitution when you evaluate because it'll say something like, if x is 5, find x squared plus 2. So you're going to actually put that value in there and then use your order of operations to evaluate. So I am certain that everybody knows PEMDAS, right? I learned it as, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Some people have some kind of mutant somethings, I don't know, whatever, but you know this. So, and I put it up and down on purpose because we all know that you start from the top and you work your way down, or you start from the left and work your way across. So P stands for parentheses or grouping symbols. Sometimes a grouping symbol as we get further in the year might not be parentheses, but you might have something like 2 times 5 minus, let's do a good one, 5 minus 9. So we're going to start with those parentheses or grouping symbols. We're going to do that math first. Well, 5 minus 9 happens to come out to be a negative 4, and the 2 times the negative 4 will give us a negative 8. I know we could use distributive property there if we really wanted to. E stands for exponents. Everybody knows exponents, squared and cubed. So if I asked you to do something like 2 squared minus 3 squared, before we do any subtracting, we're going to do the squares. So 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. 4 minus 9 is negative 5. I like these negative answers. M and D go together. Please notice I have the little squiggle thing here. M and D go together. And there's a problem I saw on the internet this summer where people were getting the wrong answers. You multiply and divide left to right. So it doesn't matter what order they come from. You don't automatically multiply before you divide. You always work left to right. So if I gave you a problem like 24 divided by 6 times 2, left to right, we've got a division, we've got a multiplication, so we just start at the beginning and end at the end. So we're going to do this 24 divided by 6 first, which is 4 times 2 is 8. If you were trying to go the other way, you'd have that 6 times 2 is 12. You'd end up with 2 for an answer. 2 is not correct. You can argue it all you want, but we always do division and multiplication from left to right. It doesn't matter which one comes first. Same with addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction is a little bit different because we start talking about the subtraction as a negative instead of subtraction. But we're going to add and subtract from left to right. So if I gave you an 11 minus 3 plus 9, it doesn't matter what comes first, add or subtract, as long as it's only addition and subtraction in our problem. So 11 minus 3 is 8, plus 9 is 17. We know those. Just be careful on the multiply and divide. I'm going to actually highlight this because it's so important. You know when I'm highlighting, there's something crucial. So evaluate each expression. Let's do number 1 and 3. So number 1, if we're thinking order of operations, are there any parentheses to deal with? Are there any exponents to deal with? Aha, right? We've got this. 2 squared is 4. So I'm going to bring down everything else. Do we have any multiplication or division to deal with? Yes, we do. We've got this. 8 divided by 4 is 2. I'm going to bring down everything else, including that minus in front of that answer. And now it's add and subtract straight across. Doesn't matter which order, so I'm going to do 16 minus 2 plus 14. And I think, double check my math because I do get things wrong, I've got myself a 28. So number 3, let's do that one. We'll skip the other 2 for now. Come back to those guys later. So order of operations, do I have any parentheses to deal with? Having some trouble here. I do, right? I've got this 10 minus 6. So this 10 minus 6 gives me a 4. Bring everything down. Notice I use the times dot here. I do that because they're both numbers. If there was a 5x, I would not use that. Any multiplication, or exponents, no exponents. Multiplication or division. Everybody knows that 12 over 6 is a division, right? 12 divided by 6 is 2. And we've also got this 5 times 4, which is 20. Bring my plus down right in the middle. And my final answer for this guy will be 22. You need to show your steps and show your work. I know that you could type this into your calculator. Woohoo! You're not going to get points for it because you're not showing me your steps. And when we get into properties, I'm going to ask you what property it is that you're using when you do that. So here's a little substitution. Notice these are all expressions. There's no equal signs in there. Let's just do, I don't know, let's do number 7. So the directions tell us to evaluate. We can do that, right? X is 4, Y is 5, and Z is 3. So there's our information that we need in order to actually do this problem. So when I go to number 7 and I've got X squared plus Y all over Z, I'm going to put the correct values in there. So X squared is going to be 4 squared plus the value of Y is 5. All over 3. I want you to show that substitution. I want to know what numbers. So now, do we have any parentheses? Grouping symbols? Exponents. 4 squared, right? So I've got 4 squared, which is 16, plus 5, all over 3. Now, this is an interesting one because usually we're going to do multiplying and dividing before addition. However, our addition is part of that top of that division. We've got to actually do the numerator before we can divide by 3. I know it seems contrary to the rule we just talked about, but in order to do divide, we got to know what this number is. So it's almost like the top of a fraction is a grouping symbol. You've got to do all of your numerator math. And if we had denominator math, we'd have to do that as well. So 21 over 3. Check your calculator or your times tables. That comes out to a big old 7. So substitution, order of operations. Like I said, I know you've done this before. So I feel like if you can't get the lesson summary, we're in big trouble. We better step back. List the correct order to evaluate an expression. What order do you use? You can simplify that. You can just, you know. But I would like you to evaluate this. 5x squared minus 6x plus 2. When x is negative 2, please be very, very careful when you're doing your exponents. All right, make sure, just giving you a heads up on that. All right, that's section 1, 2. Thanks for watching. See you in class. Bring any questions that you might have, and we'll talk about those. And we're ready to roll.